right, boys, prepare yourselves. We're about to enter French Canada.
French Canada?
There's no Canada like French Canada.
We certainly don't need. We certainly don't need.
If you lived here for a day, you'd understand.
Don't need French.
Ho ho ho! Welcome to French Canada! We have everything our could desire.
French.
Jesus, trampolines, and lots of cheese.
Would you like a mustache? Just stay calm, boys. French Canadians are a little...
There's no Canada like French Canada.
To my fellow Anglo-Quebecers,
Like French Canada.
I say, don't worry.
It's the best Canada in the land.
I say, don't worry.
They opposed the Dial 9 for English option on government phone lines.
Don't worry. Your rights
The goal, it says, is to make the hospital a French institution.
will be fully protected.
Just last week, Parti Québécois leader Pauline Marois introduced a controversial bill that would limit the rights of immigrants, limit the rights of immigrants who don't speak French,
Don't worry. Your rights will be fully protected.
We must be clear. The Anglophone minority in Quebec is at home here.
Le bilinguisme pour les francophones, c'est la mort.
Ho ho ho! Welcome to French Canada!
Quebec is the only place in the world that cities are barred from serving their minority populations in a language of choice if they want to.
We have everything our heart could desire.
There's no Canada like French Canada.
We have everything our heart could desire.
No Canada like French Canada. It's the best Canada in the land.
That cities are barred. Quebec is the only place in the world that cities are barred from serving their minority populations in a language of choice if they want to.
We have everything our heart could desire.
The new charter of the French language is partly aimed at cracking down on English.
I say, don't worry. Your rights will be fully protected.
And language is part of it.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
Pierre Curzi is taking a stand on one of the most politically sensitive topics in the province, language.
Don't worry. To my fellow Anglo-Quebecers,
After years of constitutional challenges,
don't worry.
Curzi says Bill 101 is no longer strong enough.
Quebec is the only place in the world.
Your rights.
If we don't do nothing, then we will be in bilingual Montreal.
Will be fully protected.
So he's introduced Bill 593, proposing a new charter of the French language.
If we don't do nothing, then we will be in bilingual Montreal.
It's about how we organize our services for the population, and language is part of it.
Your rights.
And I don't think it is a good thing for nobody in Quebec.
Will be fully protected.
And language is part of it.
You know, I am not intolerant.
To say that the lady told me, oh, go back to your country. Ici, on parle de Québec. Au Québec, we can only speak French. And at that moment, she was knitting and she was giving me the finger at the same time.
Your rights.
And at that moment, she's like, j'ai tellement marre de toi et les gens comme toi. She dropped all her things and she got out of the booth. And literally, she had me in a headlock and she was just punching me.
Will be fully protected.
And language is part of it.
Back in 2009, the officers pulled over a vehicle driven by Joël de Bellefeuille. When they did a license check, they suggested de Bellefeuille might not be the true owner of the car because the name de Bellefeuille was, quote, a Quebec name and couldn't belong to a black man. Both officers are suspended without pay for 5 days after admitting they did discriminate based on race.
Quebec is the only place in the world.
They say an ambulance paramedic refused to speak English.
Marc Bergeron is bilingual, but he was nervous he wouldn't understand technical terms, so he asked the paramedic to speak English.
With a lot of hostility in his voice, he basically said to me, "Non, moi je parle français."
The Anglophone minority in Quebec is at home here.
Is the only place in the world.
They feel the paramedic was making a political statement at a very bad time.
We're not talking about, get them to learn Mandarin, you know, to satisfy a small percentage of the population. We're talking about the 2 official languages of our country.
Selling the idea of independence.
We're going to make sure that citizens are talking again, and we're coming back to what is essentially a real independentist movement made by the citizens.
Don't worry.
You know, I am not intolerant.